Did we do it? Are we doing it? We're doing it. Bum ba 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 bum 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 bum. Bum 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 ba 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 ba. First stream with the new modem. Hope it cleans everything up. Hope it makes everything easy. Hope it makes everything better. Capitalism. I'm just getting home from a week of capitalism and how fucking dumb. Like how fucking dumb it is. Like, I think that Elon Musk and what is going on with Twitter and Elon Musk going through Twitter is exactly what is happening in all of the world. That every boss and every capitalist that owns any establishment anywhere right now is essentially Elon Musk. It is a person who is essentially just walking in to something that they don't know the first thing about. They have an idea of how they want to move forward. They have a thought, a vision, if you like, if you want to be generous. And they essentially point at things and say, get this done. And if someone turns around and says, that will require planning or resources or time or assets, that person says, the capitalist says, posh, fa, poof, perhaps fires someone, and then simply moves on. Oh well, LED LC with a donation of $4.99. I've never seen you here before. That's a lovely way to start our relationship, sir. That's a nice way to end this week that I've been having. I've got 2 days off starting now. I've been dealing with this catastrophe of the internet as well. Hopefully this new modem will make everything nice and cleaned up. And a nice little donation of $4.99 is a fantastic, fantastic addition to this day. And then on top of all of it, I've been dealing with a friggin' roach infestation. You can believe it. So while I'm dealing with this capitalist nonsense, while I'm dealing with all of this kind of stuff, the modem collapsing, everything going on, we also have bugs. Gugh. Gugh, I say. Gugh, I say. What a ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous world we find ourselves in. And more, we're beginning to see that the whole narrative coming out of the West about how, oh, it's fine if Twitter or Facebook or these places choose to censor and choose to remove people from their platforms because they're privately owned, you see. They're not owned by the government. That the government, the First Amendment means that the government cannot censor. But if private individuals wish to censor, then that is within their purview, and that is part of their business model. And if you don't like it, then you can go somewhere else. Well, now we're finding out very clearly that places like Twitter and Facebook are just arms of the military-industrial complex. That Twitter directly assisted Pentagon's propaganda campaigns. We hear more and more stories about how Twitter is just straight out receiving direct messages from the White House about who to censor and when to censor. That we're getting clear information and clear edicts from everyone. That we are supposed to believe, oh no, these are private institutions, but they respond completely to the government, because this is what no one wants to admit, right? Your far-right libertarian types want to believe that the government is the problem, and your far left, or not far left, because I would be far left, but your center left liberals want to believe that no, the problem is corporations, when the real issue that we are looking at is that those two forces have merged with one another in a process called fascism. That the business class and the state are now indistinguishable from one another and have in fact merged. That if it was a merger of the church and state, we would call it a theocracy, and no one would be confused by it. But because it's the merger of the business class and the state, there seems to be confusion that it's something other than obvious, overt fascism that's directly in front of your face. Mussolini said it best, that fascism is better called corporatism because it is the merger of business and state. That is what we are experiencing in today's America and today's West, and the effects of it are extremely apparent and extremely obvious. That we are heading for a major decline, and we are heading for a major decline for a very clear reason. And it's something that I was really thinking about a lot this week. That we have created a system where to ascend through the ranks and to get to the topmost echelon of the society, all you really need to do is say, yes, sir. That there is intergenerational inherited wealth that exists throughout the society. That's obvious. You just need to take a look at people like Galen Weston Jr. or David Thompson. You got good to see you, Nova Scotia. Glad you popped in, bud. I'm not going to be along for this world. I've been having a crazy week, so just wanted to actually do a stream finally, right? So there is intergenerational wealth, something that the far right completely denies. That no, it's everyone ascending a meritocracy, and the people who are at the top are the most competent. Yeah, certainly not just hereditary billionaires, which they obviously are. And in order to ascend any system upon which the very top is run and owned by hereditary billionaires, the most effective way to do that is to simply say, yes, sir. That when you are asked of something, you don't think about it. You don't think about the consequences of what you're being asked. You just say, yes, sir. And so what this means is that the people who end up with the most power in the society, outside of the hereditary billionaires who never lose their power, are the people who have simply said, yes, sir, their whole lives. And now they have an idea. And so who do they want? And who do they think is valuable? And who do they think are the people who should be rewarded? Well, they think that the people who should be rewarded are the people who also say, yes, sir. Even if what's being asked is stupid and ridiculous or not able to be done, right? Like, if all you have ever done is sacrifice your life saying, yes, sir, the entire time, and then you turn around and expect other people to act that way to you, and they don't, then you get all miffed and huffy and miffy about it, even if what you're asking is dumb. And the thing that I'm really seeing about today's capitalists is that they no longer really care if what they do is successful or not. That's something that I think capitalist apologists don't want to admit or acknowledge is real. That capitalists no longer care if they are successful because they're being heavily rewarded for being failures. That's the hard truth about today's capitalist society. That since 2008, when it was made explicitly clear that if you fail utterly, the government will simply bail you out. All you have to do is say, we're too big to fail, right? all you have to do is say, oh, but we're such crucial infrastructure, but not so crucial that we should be nationalized, that we still need to remain privately owned. Do not nationalize us, and the government will bail you out, right? Who got the biggest bailouts over COVID, right? It was the private ownership class. There was a massive transfer of wealth that shifted from the lower class to the upper class. That the capitalists now are completely disincentivized to be successful. And for two reasons. One is that they know they'll be bailed out, so it doesn't matter if they're successful. But then two, they have so much money and wealth and power and assets and resources that everything they do is just a game, right? Like, they don't care that you are doing the job because you need to eat. They care that about their weird little fantasy and their weird little vision that they've got. And if it doesn't work out, they'll just go, oh well, and just move along their merry time. Because if some of these guys lost $1 billion, it wouldn't even be 1/10 of their wealth. Like, really contemplate and think what it means to live in a world where you can just do something, lose $1 billion. Like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to lose $44 billion, maybe even more from this, right? From this whole Twitter thing. Elon Musk is going to lose billions and billions of dollars, and it doesn't matter to him at all. It's not going to affect his quality of life. It's not going to affect how he is in the world, except maybe he won't be able to have the spotlight shone on him all the time, 100%. Maybe there'll be less people willing to just completely simp for him 100% of the time. Maybe when he goes back on the Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan won't just jerk him off for 3 hours, right? Like, we're all supposed to believe this guy's a super genius. When, like, all he had to do with Twitter is nothing. Like, that's the most embarrassing part about the whole Twitter fiasco, is that if he did want to buy it, and signs show that he didn't really want to buy it, he just kind of found himself in a situation where he was forced to buy it. But all he had to do to ensure the thing just kept plugging along is nothing. And he couldn't even manage that. And it's not going to be too much longer until Twitter just stops working, because he's completely gutted it. Everybody who has any sense whatsoever has fled the ship. The only people who are sticking around are people who will be deported if they don't. Like, it's exploitation to the highest possible degree. And it just looks like Elon Musk can't help himself. Ligon DZ, how you doing, bud? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Holy cow. Holy cow, dude. I've been seeing your comments throughout the Discord, man. I share your concern. Eric, good to see you, bud. Good to see you, bud. Yeah, I share your concern about what's going on in regards to the propaganda towards Chinese citizens and towards China. That you keep saying things like it's almost like Westerners just want to kill Chinese people, and I'm very concerned about that myself. Like, it just seems to me that the antagonism towards China is so senseless. Like, it's so senseless, and it exists. What propaganda? What are you talking about? The anti-Chinese propaganda that exists all throughout all media, constantly. Like, I feel like it's impossible to miss. Looking to see my grandpa and aunt were feverish these days. Yeah, because especially white Westerners are really, really, really susceptible. Like, really susceptible to pretty low level, like, stupid propaganda. Like, it seems as though all you really have to do, like, there's that story that swept through the news several times. They keep bringing it up, where there's Chinese embassies, and what the Chinese embassies do is they purchase a piece of property in Chinatown, right? Because the Chinese embassy is like downtown in like the political district, right? And so they're like, well, let's buy a house or a piece of property in Chinatown so that we can better service, old Chinese people who don't want to travel all the way downtown to be able to just send a document to their family back in China, right? Or to get services that the Chinese embassy would naturally provide for people who have family in another country, right? It's the most obvious thing that an embassy should and could do. It is the most clear and sane thing that any embassy would provide. And how's it being reported? Chinese police stations being found all throughout Canada. China spreading its influence throughout Canada with Chinese police stations. Like, the most childish way of actually seeing how any of this works, and specifically done to drum up fear about China spreading its influence into Canada, as if having decent diplomacy and good relations with another nation is somehow a negative. Something that only our fascist nations could come up with. Like literally, what's the problem? Like, for real, what's the problem? What are we expecting to see here? Like, what are we anticipating? Do we genuinely believe that these Chinese embassies are attempting to do what? Act as like spy centers? Is that what we're trying to say? Us fucking loser fascists. Eric says, "Did you went through the files that Elon Musk is releasing on Twitter?" I haven't. I keep hearing people talk about it. No, I haven't. I haven't had the time, dude. Honestly, like, my life right now has been like, go to work, come home, maybe like watch an hour of TV and go to sleep. Like, that's what I've been doing, because capitalism sucks and I wish it would blow up. Like, straight up. Like, if the system of capital exploded right now, I would be like, good, an improvement, fantastic. I'm a fan of it. This nonsense that we're all going through right now is just tedious, just fucking tedious and dumb and stupid. And it baffles me that we're all still going to work. Like, we're literally doing everything we can to just fuel an apocalypse and just like, yep, I'm still going to get up and go to work, I guess. So I have heard loosely of these Elon Musk files that he's releasing on Twitter. My assumption is that he's doing it just to distract people from the shit show that is his fucking life. That literally the guy is just in a midlife crisis, going through a divorce. Like, his implosion is actually really similar to Kanye's implosion. That the only real difference between the two is that Kanye West has, like, legitimate mental health issues. Like, legitimate. Like, I saw a video, somebody just randomly got into a conversation with Kanye West on the street, right? And like, Kanye West, he was like sitting in the back seat of his car, and somebody was like, oh, hey, it's Kanye West, and they're like, we're filming him, and they just let Kanye talk, and about 30 seconds in, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's got a mental illness. That what people who have the, like, kind of manic mental illness, like, that Kanye West has, they're just attention seeking, right? They're just attention seeking. So if you are attempting to attention seek on the largest possible platform available, the national stage, then yeah, you're going to say things like, I love Hitler. I love Hitler, right? Like, you're just attention seeking. That's all he's doing. And that's all his mental illness is trying to do. But then he gets into a conversation with somebody where it's just like a one-on-one, where he knows it's not like this national stage, like millions of people are not going to see this guy's phone video. And so he's just talking to the guy, and it's just a stream of consciousness that is obviously like a complete and total mental illness. And what Elon Musk is experiencing is not that much different. It's just that he's not mentally ill. That he's going through a divorce. He's experiencing, like, an emotional trauma. He's embroiled in this new project that he doesn't really care about. And he's just blowing it up. And it's like, and we've empowered these people. These are the people at the top of the class, at the top of the situation. It's ridiculous. Still dealing with long COVID, Eric? Fucking brutal. Fucking brutal. We all like to pretend like COVID is over, but I suspect that maybe 2023, come spring, there's going to be like another big COVID story. I think that there's got to be, right? Like, it's not just going to fade out. It's just not going to like go away and then we'll all forget about it. I feel like there's going to be like a big COVID with a vengeance moment that comes in. And it's going to be way, way worse because our leadership is so psychopathic and so desensitized to even basic empathy that they're just going to let it happen. They're not even going to try. Like, they're not even going to try. Like, I bet it goes down like that. That seems to be how we work. It seems to be what we are as a people. Holy fuck, guys. I am tired. I'm unbelievably tired. Like, things are so fucking stupid. And like, Christmas is upon us. Like, that's my favorite. Like, Christmas is upon us. And it genuinely seems like nobody gives a fuck. That like literally no one gives a fuck anymore. There's just no sense of like, oh my goodness, Christmas, what a great, oh my god, we're gonna get together and it's gonna be wonderful. Like, all of that is just seems to be gone. I don't see it anywhere. I don't see anybody being like, hooray, hooray for Christmas, because everybody, like, we all see through it now. Like, it's not about Christ anymore. Like, 100%. Like, Christmas has nothing to do with Christianity any longer. It's called Christmas, but who gives a fuck? The only people who complain about that or comment on that are people at Fox News, because it's what their insular little cult wants, right? But Christmas has nothing to do with Christ. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It strictly exists to buy shit. That's all. It's just a consumerist holiday for people to go out and buy shit they don't need for each other, so that they can pretend as though they give a fuck about one another. Like, it's the oddest little thing that we do, where we're just like, here's the moment of purchasing to show how much we love one another. I remember I used to work at a toy store, right? I was the assistant. I was the assistant manager of a toy store, and I could see people coming in, parents and uncles and grandparents coming in, and they would like be trying to replace their love or the time that they've missed with their children with toys. It was really, really obvious that that's what they were doing. And it was like sad. Like, it was sort of nice that they wanted to buy these toys and wanted to give all this kind of stuff, but it's just like, dude, like, spend time with your kid. Like, just fucking spend time with your kid, you know? I missed you too, Anemone. I missed all of you guys, honestly. Grinning, good to see you. Is this a war on Christmas? How dare you? Yeah, fuck Christmas. Fuck Christmas. Fuck Christmas. I haven't celebrated Christmas for like 10 years, dude. Like, for me, Christmas is a work period. Like, that's all it's ever been for me. Like, this whole idea of like, let's pause and decorate. Like literally, if I were to do the shit that people say you're supposed to do to really, quote unquote, get into the Christmas spirit, I'd essentially be taking on a part-time job for fucking nothing. Like, fucking nothing. I don't get anything out of it, right? All I end up doing is losing a bunch of money. And people buy me shit I don't want or need. It's just like, how about, crazy thought, you keep your money. We don't spend all this time and effort decorating and doing this bullshit that nobody actually cares about. And we just sort of forget about it. You know what I would love? You know what would convince me that we actually give a shit about this Christmas thing and that we should actually celebrate it? Is if everybody took 2 weeks off. And that was just assumed. That this period of time, there's no little restaurants open, there's no shitty bullshit, right? Everybody literally just takes 2 weeks off. But we're not going to do that, right? We're like, literally every other creature and every other animal on the face of the planet goes, oh, it's getting kind of chilly, time to hibernate. Humans go, let's spend more energy. Let's get more. Let's do more. Just fucking brutal. Yeah. Eric says, I hate the fact the media is pretending everything is fine. I've been talking to conservatives. They still go on about the freedom movement, mandate, etc., etc. Yeah, they just can't let that shit go. Do you remember a while back I was talking about a New Zealand woman where she became reactionary? I don't remember that, Eric, but I assume it occurred. It seems to me like, I mean, I generally take a look at the whole convoy movement and all of this kind of stuff. It's like, it's a very childish reaction, you know? You want us to put cloth over our faces? Ah! I do admit that the vaccine mandate is a bit of a bridge too far. I don't think that the government should be mandating that kind of thing. But I saw enough people have like breakdowns in Walmarts to realize that like, yeah, this is kind of a childish bullshit sort of a thing. Oh, grinning, one of your clients gave you a case of beer the other day? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. CR Strifey, good to see you. I think Trailer Park Boys had it right. Christmas is a time to get drunk and high with your family, period. Yeah. Not a bad call. I think Ramadan and Eid are good holidays. Growing up, Eid was a good time of year for my family. That's good to hear, dude. For part of the reason why I was always turned off by Christmas is because like my family got into like big pissing matches, like pretty clearly. Like it wasn't like let's all get the family together and have like a family sort of a thing. There was always like a lot of travel and everybody had to have their own like pageantry. So it was like, instead of having like a Christmas where we all get together and do Christmas, it was like, gotta go to grandma's for Christmas, and then gotta go to auntie's for Christmas, and then the cousins for Christmas, and then, oh, my friend over here wants to do Christmas, and then this is for Christmas, and all that. And honestly, by the end of it, I was just like, fuck this whole thing. I'm just fucking exhausted. I'm just fucking exhausted. I'm not having a good time. People are like, what are you grateful for? And I was like, I'd be grateful to go to bed, man. Like, I don't fucking, like, what are we doing any of this shit? As a kid, I've never connected Christmas with Christianity until someone pointed that out. Yeah, I mean, like, the Christians don't really care about Christ, so it's hardly surprising. Recently, she's changing a lot about her opinions in regards to socialism. Who's this person you're talking about, Eric? Is this the New Zealand person? New Zealand woman? Why is this person important? Why is this person important? Now I've got a bunch of random links up. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what any of these are. I've been like randomly just kind of keeping things. Yeah, Twitter directly assisted Pentagon's propaganda campaigns. Are we shocked? Are we surprised? We are not. What are you? Oh yeah, unexpected reunion. Oh, how the times have changed. Nazis are now visiting Jews in Israel as Jerusalem Post reports Nazi Azov battalion officers lead delegation, meets with Israeli Defense Forces, learning how to kill civilians, and visits Mossad where Jews held out. The Jerusalem Post. Ukraine's Azov regiment visits Israel. Mariupol is our Masada. Isn't that great? Isn't that nice, Frank? Isn't it nice to see such wonderful unity? Yeah, exactly, Ligandazi. That's exactly the reaction, man. Like, it's a parody of itself, right? It's a parody of itself. The guy who killed his superintendent and other people in his building in Maple, Ontario is a sad story. Yeah, I suspect it is. I rarely report on that kind of thing in Emily because it seems like that just fucking happens every day. You know? It just seems like if that's what I wanted to be reporting on, that's what I would be only reporting on. Like, person snaps due to how fucking crazy everything is. Like, did you see the new human baby factories? This is Hell World, just like the game's Scorn. I feel like I have seen the human baby factories, dude. Like, the solution to the declining birth rate is literally going to be just like, let's create clone baby armies. And like, who owns the clone babies? And it's going to turn into that movie Moon, where there's like a clone working in a thing who doesn't know he's a clone. And then the clone only lasts like 3 years and then gets into a box thinking he's going to be fired back to Earth, but it actually just destroys him and reawakens another clone to create this like cycle of clones literally going through this process of like believing that they're beginning a 3-year mission and like waking up in a situation where they're like, oh, I'm waking up here and I'm beginning my 3-year mission, and then by the end of the 3-year mission they're like sick and dying because they're a fucking clone, and then they get into a box thinking they're gonna get shot down to earth, but it disintegrates them, and then they revive another clone, and the process begins anew, and it's just like the most despicable, disgusting shit you can possibly imagine. But that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that shit. Like, we're absolutely gonna do. We're just gonna have like a baby factory, and we're gonna have like little clone babies get born in the factory, and they'll be raised in like little indoctrination pods where they're told that like their life is about serving the corporation or whatever, and they'll just become little cogs in a little machine. And if they step out of line, they'll literally just have their brains melted or something. Or even better, they'll figure out a way how to like remove the rebellion aspect of a human brain. So they'll just like take away the ability of a human being to even say no. So literally, they'll just be perfect little slaves, just owned by corporations, right? Yeah, absolutely, Anemone. Absolutely. Just on principle. Just on principle. Factory babies will all be brown, right? The owners will be white, right? And it'll be all like the same kind of rhetoric, the same kind of bullshit where, oh, they're better off this way, and like all that kind of fucking, you know, white supremacist bullshit that you hear all the time. Argue with this. Eric, man, who are you talking about, bro? Who are you talking about, bro? Sounds like you had a real experience with this woman, right? Sounds like you had a real experience with this woman. I have no idea. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bring it up because I'm still baffled people can read these headlines and not revolt. Yeah, I mean, there's two problems. One is that we need to survive, right? Like, we literally need to survive. That we all know that we're like one step away from just homelessness. Like, we all know that that's the case, and we know that that's in the cards. And you take a look at someone like Elon Musk just blasting apart Twitter, and we all know that it's only a matter of time until they just can't help themselves, right? Until the whole thing just falls apart and blows up, right? So we're all clinging by our fingernails. And then on top of that, we're also disorganized, right? Like, and exhausted. Like, if somebody told me, like, hey, John, tomorrow we're going to go have a revolution, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I want to sleep in, dude. Like, I'm tired. I'm fucking tired. I'm just fucking tired of it. Russell Brand covered baby factories today. I never watch his stuff, but I saw that and had to see what he was saying. Yeah, Russell Brand's pretty good, generally. I think he's on the right track. I just don't think he's, like, a revolutionary. Right, that his whole thing is like raising consciousness and raising awareness, like he's a big believer, and I'm not saying this to make fun of him or to downplay it, but like he is just a believer in the like shifting of the human consciousness is what is needed, and it's like, no, we need revolutionaries. We need people who are literally like, let's get in the streets and surround the halls of power, and it's so obvious to me that like people don't want to do it. Like, it's really, really clear to me that people don't want to do it. That, like, they want to just do letter writing campaigns, and they just want to believe that they can just continue funneling energy into these obviously overt dead systems. And if you stand up and say, none of that's going to work, right? None of that's going to work. That what we need to do is organize to try to surround the halls of power. And if you say that, then you're a gatekeeper. And that's what they're saying, right? If you point out the obvious, which is that none of this letter writing, none of this, like, appealing to the power structure, telling truth to power, all that kind of stuff, like, none of that's going to actually work, right? Because the power structure is fascist, and it doesn't give a fuck about your stupid letter-writing campaign, right? If you point that out, you're a gatekeeper. That's the response. So we're going to learn this one the hard ways, guys. We're going to learn this one the hard way. Ugh. Yeah, straight out of the Matrix. It's I don't know, it's worse than the Matrix though, right? Like, at least in the Matrix it was like everybody was kind of living in this, you know, world, and we were just being treated like batteries, basically. Like, it's worse than the Matrix because they're literally going to enslave these fucking kids from the get. They're like, and these fucking clone babies are not going to have a shot, right? They're not even going to have a hope in hell. Like they're literally going to just be born into a factory and just essentially be just like a little fucking factory worker. That's what it is. Yeah, Eric, what I don't know what this New Zealand woman you're talking about, dude. Like, who is this person? What's her name? Yeah, they'll use the justification that Asiatic and African DNA is superior to work in such conditions. Exactly. Contexto. That's a hilarious name, dude. What's your opinion about Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil? Bolsonaro is no longer the president of Brazil. He lost the election. So it's Lula is now the president of Brazil. And my opinion of Bolsonaro is that he's an eco-fascist, right? And that's not even my he called himself that. And as a communist, I'm against that. I'm glad that Bolsonaro lost. I hope that he continues to lose. He is a massive loser, and I hope we never see him again. His assault against the rainforest and his gleeful destruction of the rainforest, future generations will look back on that and really, really ask what the fuck was wrong with us to just sit back and watch a man do that. Why did we go along with it? What kind of what kind of crazed lunatics are we? Yeah, the factory babies will be brown because no whites will have sperm count. Yes, grinning. That's hilarious, dude. What makes you say that, grinning? That there's a decline in amongst the white population. There's a decline in the sperm count by like 50%. Like, it's not insignificant. Like we are literally destroying ourselves. Like there's no other way to say it. Like, we are literally destroying ourselves. Like, there is not going to be future generations, quite literally, because we will be incapable of having children. Straight up. And we deserve it. We completely deserve it. Like, get completely owned. Fucking white people. Yeah, people want to have a revolution through their phone. Yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. Like, and they don't want to admit that, like what was something I saw the other day where there was someone was confronting the police about their brutality and the actions that they were doing, and the headliner was something like, "The police don't even realize they're fascist." And I'm just like, yeah, of course, no, they know. Like, of course they know. They're well aware of what they are. Like, they know precisely what they are. That the people who are in the police force who thought that they weren't part of a fascist organization have left by now. That the ones who are remaining are well aware of what it is they are and well aware of what they're doing. And for us to pretend otherwise is odd. And I just feel like we are living in this society where we're just clinging on to these sort of hopes. We're clinging on to a hope that the system will somehow actually begin responding. That the system hasn't gone full-blown fascist. No, of course not. It'll begin responding rationally soon. You watch, right? Things will just get so bad that it'll have to start responding, right? Like, this is how I think most people are thinking, and it's obviously false. Like, things are going to get really fucking bad, and people are just going to sleepwalk into it. And they're not going to accept that a full-scale confrontation is what's necessary. That these people, like, for God's sakes, like, the people at the highest end of the society, the people at the top end of the society are literally going to fucking Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island. Like, they're not capable of giving a fuck. They don't care. They do not give a fuck at all. Like, and we're all just walking around pretending as though, like, oh, they'll come to their senses soon. Yeah, we just need to do another letter writing campaign. That'll get it done. That'll do it. Well, you don't think so? You're a gatekeeper. Eric says it reminds me of the Warhammer 40k, where the Imperium of Men will use vat-grown humans to do the bidding, especially the Adapus Mechanus, where the rejects become servitor. Dude. Yeah, Warhammer 40k, man. That's what we're becoming. We're just becoming Warhammer 40k all the way. Like, I wonder why the aliens won't talk to us. We, like, literally create, like, media in which humans just indiscriminately massacre alien life forms. Wonder why the aliens won't talk to us. We just, all of our media is like, aliens are horrific monsters who we should indiscriminately murder upon sight. I wonder why the aliens are keeping us at arm's length, you know? I wonder why they don't come down and say hello. Her name is Jane Fredericks. I just don't know why I'm supposed to care about this person, Eric. Like, some kooky lady from New Zealand is a kooky person. Like, I know a lot of kooky people. Warhammer thought. Yeah. I feel like we're taking a look at Warhammer, and it's just like, it's glimpse into the future. From CTV, nearly 80% of Ontarians believe the healthcare to be in a state of crisis, new poll shows. And then on top of that, something like 59% oppose greater involvement by for-profit healthcare providers as an answer, with a majority, 81%, agreeing the main objective of private for-profit healthcare companies is to make more money for their owners and shareholders, and 79% agreeing that allowing private for-profit companies to offer healthcare services mean people with more money will get healthcare faster than the rest of us. These results confirm the devastating experiences we are hearing from Ontarians. They are concerned about our healthcare system, and Ford is to blame. Like, yeah, we vote him in. Like, we vote him in. Protest planned on Tuesday morning. Like, you know things are fucked when the news itself is actually reporting a protest. Like, that's how you know things are fucked. When the mainstream news is actually writing the word protest and saying there's a protest planned. Right? That's how you know things have gotten desperate. Because the mainstream media in our culture exists to diffuse that and to omit that on purpose. Right? To omit that about it. Oh, Eric, yeah, I'm sorry, bud. I'm being a bit dismissive of your experience, bud. I don't mean to be. I'm just tired, dude. It's as simple as that. Yeah, fuck this woman. Fuck this Jane Frederick. Let's go back. Let's do it. You and me, bud. Let's go back. So we got this fucking Jane Fredericks lady from New Zealand. She's changing her opinions in regards to socialism. She's a huge free supporters, anti-LGBTQ support because of her Christian faith. Yeah, my favorite, right? Jesus Christ, big hater of the LGBTQ community, right? Lo, I say unto thee, if thou art a homosexual, thou art blighted in the sight of God. Well-known Jesus quote. Argued with me, she still believes that LGBTQ being mentally ill. Yeah, that's right. Fucking unbelievable. The LGBTQ studies are propaganda, and she supports Putin's actions for his anti-LGBTQ. Yeah, because, like, it's always like a mental illness if it supports your bigotry, right? Like, if my favorite are, like, the capitalist simps who genuinely think that, like, being against capitalism is a mental illness, right? Like, why does it matter if it's a person that will be dealing with me for 2 years now? I was surprised she's more than willing to listen to communist content recently. I want to help her push further. Left, but right now she's so stuck on the freedom movement, her hatred of LGBT. I don't get it. Like, I genuinely don't get people who, like, look at a person being like, I'm gay. And they're like, oh, it makes me so mad. It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Oh. You know, I don't. Like, I understand why you would be like that if you were, like, a child, right? Like, oh, icky, gross, right? Like, I get, like, if you're, like, a teenager or, you know, like, a not particularly emotionally developed person, like, that makes a certain degree of sense. But there literally just comes a point where you just have to look at these people and be like, why do you give a fuck about this at all? What does it matter even a little? Why do you care? Like, that's the big thing about it. Like, what the fuck do you even care? It has no impact on your life. It doesn't matter even a tiny little bit. And near as I can tell, the only reason these people are scared about it is because they're so emotionally stunted and they're so incapable of just grappling with the idea that there might be such a thing as a gay person that they can't even bring themselves to genuinely ask themselves, is it that I am gay, perhaps? Perhaps I am the homosexual. And it's really telling that some of the most, like, virulent crusaders against homosexuality and against LGBTQ people end up themselves being gay, right? Like, you see this all the time, where people who literally are like the spokesperson of an organization and fighting hard against the passage of LGBTQ, they end up getting into some sex scandal where they're having sex with a member of the same sex. And it's just like, it's projection to the highest possible degree. That it's easier for them to put this sense of shame and evil on other people instead of just accepting that, yeah, I'm gay and you know what, it's fine, right? It's just easier for them because they're not grown up. They're just stuck in this like 12-year-old mindset of like, gay people are icky and two boys shouldn't kiss. That's icky. And that's literally what it is. Like, it's just childish bullshit. And it tells you that, like, we're not a particularly grown-up people. Like, we're not ready to have, like, serious discussions about serious issues. Because we're stuck on this, like, idea. And my favorite is that it's the Christians. That's my favorite. So, you believe in an all-powerful, all-creative God that is possible to create anything and everything that is logically possible to be created. But he only created heterosexual men and heterosexual women, and there's no extra complexity in this infinite unfolding creation in which all things are possible, but that's it for sex. It is not complex. More complex than that. It will never ever be. Like, shut up. It's so fucking embarrassing. Like, and embarrassing is exactly the word. Like, these Christians are embarrassing. Like, they don't even have respect for their own God. They don't give a fuck. They're like literally, oh, infinite creative God, but he definitely wouldn't do that. Like, obviously your God is powerful enough to be able to create an array of sexuality and make things far more complex than possible. And oh no, there's more than 3 colors in the rainbow. Oh no. Oh my God, things are slightly more interesting. Oh no, things aren't exactly a paint by numbers thing that you can just open up a book that was written 2,000 years ago and get all of the answers to life. Oh, nuance and complexity. Oh, it makes me so angry. Just like, shut up then. Just shut up, okay? Like, if you look at this situation and think, I have to express rage and anger at this, then it is time for you to sit down and shut up because you're a child. That's the long and short of it. Oh no, there are gay people. Oh no, there are people who are born with male genitalia that feel more like females and want to explore a fluid gender sex profile. Who gives a fuck at all? It doesn't matter to you even a little. Like, you're literally offended because there's a different color of flower that exists in the world. Like, that's literally what you're complaining about. You're literally complaining that there's a type of thing that exists somewhere else that you don't even know about, and that makes you upset. Like, imagine if you found out that there was a type of bee that made purple honey, and you went, purple honey? That's an affront to God. That's unnatural, and we should hunt down all the purple honeybees It's the same. And you're a baby for thinking this way. You're a child person who literally needs to shut the fuck up. Because all you're doing is gathering all the child babies together and making it so that you're all in a room together and voting people into power who are actually going, the purple bee honey people need to be taken out of the thing. And you sound crazy because you are crazy. Like, literally, this is the reason why we should not allow people who think an invisible wizard is real to actually attain positions of power. Like, if you think Santa is real, it's time for you to shut up. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that these people persist in the society. It's embarrassing that anybody even cares. Like, I can understand why a person would be like, this makes me uncomfortable. Because I suspect that if all you ever were was like a straight white man and or woman who's never ever had to confront anything other than that, and somebody brought up the fact that, hey, it's possible there's this entire array, and you like think back to that one time that you as a young woman looked at a Sears catalog and were like, that lady looks attractive, but then you went, no, that's against God's will, right? And all of the shame and all of the fucking bullshit that your society has put on you, right? And that's your experience with it because you know there's a little part of you that's probably gay in the right circumstance, right? Everyone's a little gay in the right circumstance. Sorry, there's no such thing as like, I'm as straight as an arrow 100% of the time. I almost guarantee that is completely false. That if the right dude or the right woman was in the right situation at the right time, you would be wooed. And you know it's true, but you don't want to admit it because you're a baby. That's the simple truth. Because you're a fucking little kid. And you can't actually get out of your own asshole. And these people make laws and shit. Like, what the fuck? Why do you care? Why do you care at all? You care because you can't grapple with your own fucking sexuality. Because you're a baby. You're a baby still saying that, like, boys have cooties. That's where you are, right? The rest of us, the grown-ups in the room, are like, yeah, things are complex and interesting, and there's, like, a lot of nuance, and we should, like, let it unfold and see what's happening. Why? Because they're not hurting anybody. No one's getting hurt. Like, no one's getting hurt. Like, the worst possible case scenario that these guys actually have is that someone can transition and then go, oh, that was a mistake. That's it. That's all they've got. Well, so fucking what? Like, so fucking, who gives a shit? People do things all the time and then go, it was an accident, it was a mistake. People do that shit all the fucking time. We let 18-year-old kids take out hundreds of thousands of student debt to go take a liberal arts degree. And then we turn around and go, ha, what a fucking idiot you were, ha. And we're not doing shit about that. We don't care about that at all. But when it comes to a person being like, I think I might be a girl. Oh my God, let's pull out, I got the Bible says inside of my heart, Jesus Christ is coming down upon you and you will burn in the fires of eternal damnation because you don't want a pecker. Like, shut up. Shut up. Let people fuck whoever they want. And let people do whatever they want to their bodies. Like, this is the best part. It's the same people who are like, my body, my choice for vaccines. You're never going to put a thing in my thing. I'm never going to... But if you want to, like, I don't know, fucking, like, get a gender-affirming surgery, then all of a sudden, oh my God, it's just the end of the world. Like, I'm so looking forward to this society just hitting a fucking brick wall. And it just being like... Ugh. Got into some argument with some ultras and Maoists. I'm like, I wish I could afford to be more critical of modern China. Like, you free thinkers. Yeah, dude. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, you can critique modern China. I think that there are things to critique. But, like... Maoists are living in a kind of, like, things would have been... Maoists are very similar to Trotskyists in this way. Where they're like, things would have been better if our guy won. You know, it does remind me a lot of, like, Survivor, right? Like, when you watch shows of Survivor and seasons of Survivor, and then you get to the end and the person you were rooting for didn't win, and then you keep trying to argue that, oh, he was robbed, and it goes, but the reality is that the other guy won. Tough shit. Like, the other guy won. Like, the game is persuading more people to go along with you. That's the game. That's the whole fucking game. Right? Your guy lost. Right? Mao got to a point, and everybody went, great, thanks, Mao. Cool. Moving on to other things. Moving on to other ideas. And it's especially embarrassing for like the people who are critiquing China, because it's obviously been successful. Like, come on. Like, what do you need to see at this point? Like, really, what do you got to see? What could possibly convince you at this point that what they are doing in China has been resoundingly successful? Like, what moment, what thing do you need to actually look at to be like, now it's successful, now it's working? Like, if you're a Christian nationalist, you believe God cannot bless a country that tolerates homosexuality. Yeah, I mean, the most embarrassing bullshit ever, right? Like, God can create homosexuals, but if people do it... Religion in general seeks to control repercussion. Even Buddhism sees gender as a basic force in the world, along with polarity and vibration. They are also extremely hypocritical, because for 2 years they've been shouting about how the mandate are being oppressed against, and yet they have no problem using the power of the state, against the people that seem worthy to be persecuted against. They also can't grasp how the freedom movement isn't a workers' movement, and they have zero solutions for COVID. They simply wanted to end vaccine mandates, and that's it, Yet even after I described, she's still against your worker. You're promoting sin, even when Jesus literally never advocated for the power of the state to ban people's sin. Rather, he's called people to love each other. She's very much against the Pharisees, which I find many Christians are like Pharisees, where the Pharisees are willing to stone women because of sin, and yet the Pharisees were committing sins themselves. Yeah, fucking Pharisees. Fucking Pharisees. Dude. No, like... The real truth about modern Christians is that they don't give a fuck about Christ. They don't read the book, and they don't give a fuck about him at all. Like, at all. Like, he exists as like an icon. He exists as like a name for all of them to be like, Jesus, I love my Jesus. And so they can all look at one another and be like, oh, there's a Jesus-loving Jesus man. I'm a Jesus-loving Jesus man. But they don't read him. They don't know anything he said. And they don't care, right? They don't care at all. Like, and it's obvious that they don't care. Like, I'm over debating these guys, because I care as much about their Christ as they do, which is not fucking at all. Because if you actually crack this book open, like, I got a fucking Bible right here. I got a fucking Bible right fucking here, right? If you crack this book open and you actually flip it to like any random passage, and you actually read the shit that Christ said, you're like, oh yeah, these Christians don't give a fuck at all. Like, read the Sermon on the Mount, right? Read just like the Sermon on the Mount, and you're just immediately like, oh yeah, modern day Christians, they don't know who this guy is. Like, they literally don't know who he is. It would be like watching Star Wars, or like hearing about Star Wars, I guess, and or like having like a little cult based on Star Wars, and insisting that like Luke Skywalker was all about enforcing the power of the Empire. Like, that's the scale of illiteracy and stupidity that we're talking about at this point. And there's just no reason to engage these people in meaningful debate, because they don't give a fuck. They don't care. All you can say to them is, go read your fucking Bible. Like, actually read the fucking thing. Like, they don't. And they don't care to. And when they do, they read it as if it's like a magic document, where like, the thing that they always do, constantly, is they find that one, because they can't be arsed to read the whole thing, right? They're not literate. So what they do is they find the one passage, they find the one thing that all of them agrees definitely means this thing, and it's confirmed by everybody I know that this one single passage that was spoken to a very specific group of people during a very specific period of time for a very specific thing is actually a universal edict to be enforced upon everybody, right? But the passages that are literally labeled Jesus's greatest commandment, the passages in which Christ actually says, "This is my greatest commandment," that the great commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. That's the greatest of all my commandments. That just gets fucking ignored completely. That gets completely fucking ignored. Because these people don't give a shit. All they're doing is using their Bible and using Jesus as a shield for their own asinine bigotry and overt fascism. That's who these people are. And to pretend like they're doing anything else at this point is to just play their game as if they have any legitimacy. And they don't. They have zero legitimacy. No legitimacy. 0%. Not any at all. They are childish and embarrassing. And the idea that they actually know anything about this book is just a farce on the face of it. Literally read the thing one time and you know more than they do. Yeah, even their use of Paul, who they always quote from Romans 4. Yet when you read Romans 1-3, literally disprove the entire. There was this great bishop, an Anglican bishop named John Shelby Spong, who wrote a book called Reclaiming the Bible for a Secular World. And in it, he makes a really convincing argument that Paul is gay. Because if you actually read the book, like most people don't, but if you actually read the book, Paul is constantly going on about this like thorn that he has and this problem that he's facing, right? And this difficulty that he's having. Like, Paul is the ultimate expression of like a guy who's against homosexuality, but he himself is gay. And this is just like a fundamental truth of what happens to these fucking loser Christians. That they insist homosexuality is a sin, and then you find him in a fucking bathhouse. Like if somebody is standing up and dedicating huge sections of their life and their time to fighting gay people or fighting trans people, it's probably because they are gay themselves and they don't want to admit it. And this is the energy that they're putting in, right? Like Matt Walsh is probably trans, right? He probably wears dresses at home, right? He makes this fucking movie, What is a Woman, right? He's probably just fighting against the reality that he actually is a woman inside, right? But instead of actually just admitting it and just saying like, no, you know what, this is who I am and this is what it is, he's struggling against it and he's fighting it. Like, you watch, man. At the end, like, Matt Walsh is going to turn 60 and like it's going to come out that he's like this big cross-dresser person, that he's got like a whole like alternative lifestyle that he keeps secret and underground. Like, can you show me the book that you're referring? Just I don't have it in my hands, but John Shelby Spong, Reclaiming the Bible. Yeah, there it is. That's it. This is it. Really good read. Anglican bishop. Like, one of the things I really like about him and liked about him is that he just admitted from the very beginning that, like, we got to get rid of this, like, magic. Like, we got to stop reading the thing as if, like, the magic is real. We got to accept that this is, like, myth and legend. And because if we don't, we will just continuously be rejected. Nobody buys that shit anymore. Like, nobody reads Harry Potter and goes like, wow, children live in a secret world that are firing lasers. Like, nobody's actually buying into this, like, bullshit. Ugh. All right. nothing will make you sound crazier in your day-to-day life than knowing like 4 things the CIA has done and fully admitted to. Yeah, dude. I think that this is the most true thing ever. I think this is the most true thing ever. Like, if you know, like, Operation Mockingbird, Operation Paperclip, the whole LSD thing, the fucking death squads in Afghanistan. Like, if you know any of this kind of shit, you just, like, you sound crazy to people. But it's like, the CIA's literally like, yeah, we insert CIA agents into the media in order to disseminate propaganda all the time. It's a part of the backbone of what our operation is. But if you say it, oh, you're just, yeah, MK Ultra, that's another good one. Like, I do think that it's we've gone through the Rubicon. I think that younger generations, like I know when I was growing up, amongst the boomers and the Gen X, there was this sort of like character who was like, it's the CIA, man, and he always had like stringy hair, and he was always like a dirty hippie type, right? He was always this like really brutal or like a pothead stoner guy, right? Like just some loser, and a conspiracy theorist, all of that kind of stuff, and like maybe in the story one of his ideas turned out to be true or something like this, but he was always depicted as being like a greasy loser, and I feel like that character is dead now. That most people, like, I mean, you have shows like American Dad. You've got shows, like now you've got a show on Netflix. I forget the name of it, but it literally is like an underground Illuminati, like CIA-esque style organization. Like everyone acknowledges and knows that an organization like the CIA exists and has done really fucked up, crazy shit. And the idea that, oh, that's Looney Tunes, right? Like the offhanded dismissiveness that came from the boomers and Gen X, that's gone away. I think people are way more willing to take that seriously now. And I don't think that will ever be like undone. CR Strifey says, I'm watching a documentary on Netflix called Rumble, where they trace rock and roll roots back to native people. Oh, like Link Ray. FBI and CIA suppressed their airtime on radio. Yeah, of course. Classic, right? Probably for nothing. Probably for nothing other than the fact that they were Native American, right? Like, why would you do that? Why would you suppress their airtime on radio? Just because they're First Nations people. Like, just because they're First Nations people. Like, it's fucked up. Like, we're fucked up people. Eric says, I recently had a lib who told me, who cares what the CIA is doing? Who cares what the largest terrorist organization in the world is doing? Who cares what the most well-funded rogue terrorist organization is up to? Meaningless. Just like admit you're illiterate, dude. Just shut up. Yeah, because they want to eliminate their culture and prevent an insurrection. Yeah. CR Strifey. That's accurate. It's annoying, man. Like, what an annoying culture we have. Like, what a just desperately annoying culture. Like, we're spending so much effort on being this fucking stupid. It's just crazy. And 2004 has all the blueprint of a CIA operation, for sure. No, for sure it is. Yeah. We still have people like him who deny CIA involvement to create color revolution. Yeah. Like, it's so fucked up. Like, you can show anything you like confirmed things that the CIA just admits. But it's like, they'll never do that again. Sure, they did that 58 times before, but they'll never do it again. And they'll certainly never do it to a white culture. Somebody said something, I think it was you, Ligon Dizzy, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But somebody said something along the lines of that war is just like one big giant white missing girl syndrome, right? Like the media can, like, if a white girl goes missing, the media could just whip up the entire nation and everyone will give a fuck about it, right? Forget about if she's like brown or black or any of that, like, or Chinese. Who gives a shit, right? If those girls go missing, like the indigenous women in Canada, nobody gives a fuck about that. But if it was a white woman, oh my God, we've got to send it all across the media, and we'll talk about it for 33 years, and everybody will know her name. Like, and it just feels like that war is like that. That it's just like nobody gives a fuck about Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, fucking the Palestinians, right? Nobody gives a fuck, right? It's all just it's because they're white. That's it. Like, that's it. It's because they're white. That's why they care. Reddit mobilized over Gabby Petito. I don't know who that is. Gabby Petito. More like Gabby Potato. Got her. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't care about any of this. Just like random shit. Oh, dude. This makes me want to like throw a Molotov cocktail at somebody. Like, this made me so upset. This was just like some absolute like fucking somebody should do something to somebody. The Fraser Institute writes, poverty is a trendy lifestyle choice. These people are fascists, like Nazi level fascists, who need to be absolutely called out. More people than ever are increasingly embracing frugal nomadic lifestyle, right-wing think tank claims. According to a recent report from the right-wing Fraser Institute, the official poverty line is completely wrong, and many Canadians increasingly live in poverty because they simply choose to live a frugal nomadic lifestyle. That's one of the takeaways from a recent series of essays titled Thinking About Poverty, in which Fraser Institute fellow Chris Sarlo, fucking Nazi, argues traditional poverty metrics are being skewed by new lifestyle trends that challenge old assumptions about poverty and well-being. In fact, the Fraser Institute fellow goes so far as to suggest it's time to rebrand people living in poverty to reflect their newfound status. In his Fraser Institute report, Sarlo claims people are increasingly choosing poverty as a trendy lifestyle choice. Surprisingly, there are a large and growing number of households who seem to have found ways to live below the poverty line, Sarlo notes. There are, at this time, many hundreds of blogs, newsletters, and YouTube channels advising people how to live happily below the poverty line and even save money doing so. We're not just considering people in religious orders who take a vow of poverty or a grab bag of ascetics and back to nature types. People in kibbutz or communal living arrangements, Sarlo explains, adding poverty may be a healthier and simpler and more frugal lifestyle, which is why poverty is increasingly finding many adherents. As an example, Sarlo cites the 2020 Netflix film Nomadland. The film, Sarlo argues, captures the alternative lifestyle of people living in poverty, including in vans and trailers, with little complaint. It is a story of people taking responsibility for their own situation, the Fraser Institute Nazi says, noting the movie is a story about family finding happiness amidst their poverty, an itinerant lifestyle. Sarlo quotes the protagonist, played by Frances McDormand, proclaiming, "I am not homeless. I am just houseless." Given poverty exerts an outsized influence on government spending and poverty, Nazi Sarlo argues the Canadian government should recalculate how it measures poverty, in part due to the growing popularity of alternative lifestyle options that prove people can be poor and happy at the same time. Specifically, Sarlo argues, the current market basket measure focuses on the average cost of food, clothing, and shelter within a community, rather than on serious deprivation. So this guy's complaint says people aren't desperate enough. As a possible solution, Sarlo suggests rebranding people living in poverty, suggesting those who do not lack housing, basic transportation, food, and clothes should be renamed as less well off. This guy's a fucking psychopath. In a statement to Press Progress, Sarlo said he has not yet calculated the measures and statistical estimates for how one would make the distinction between poverty and less well off, because he doesn't care. The goal is abandonment. The goal is extraction and abandonment 100% of the time. This man is a Nazi. That's all he is. The explanation for the basic needs poverty measure that I use is more important than the actual estimates. The explanation for the basic needs poverty measure that I use is more important than the actual estimates, Sarlo said. So my feelings matters more than facts and evidence. The explanation should always accompany any discussion of the threshold and the empirical evidence. Fraser Institute claims questioned by anti-poverty experts. Emily Renaud, National Coordinator with Canada Without Poverty, says the Fraser Institute fellow is misrepresenting. No shit, Nazis misrepresent shit? No shit. The current poverty line. Canada's official poverty measure, the market basket measure, is based on localized costs of living and basic goods, such as rent and food, Renaud told Press Progress. It does not include many surrounding necessary costs, such as Wi-Fi and phone bills, which are indispensable services in Canada people must pay for. These people are not living with dignity and opportunity, which are both key determinations outlined in the definition of poverty provided by the UN Declaration of Human Rights, Renaud said. Chris Raphael, a York University health policy professor, adds that lowering the poverty line, as the Fraser Institute is proposing, would have a significant impact on vulnerable populations, which is the point. These people are Nazis. They're trying to fucking eradicate people. Like, when are you going to put this shit together? Even with the current poverty levels, people in poverty not only experience an increased incidence and likelihood of mental, physical, and social afflictions, they also suffer day to day in a wide variety of ways, Raphael told Press Progress. Any attempt to lower the poverty line will only make a profoundly disturbing situation worse, which is the goal of Nazis. Like, when are we going to put this shit together? When are we going to put together that eradication is the goal? And it's getting fucking obvious. Previously, Sarlo authored the Fraser Institute's Causes of Poverty report, which cites far-right researcher Charles Murray to argue social assistance program created perverse incentives that led to far more illegitimate births and increased poverty and dependency. Asked if he still stands by this, Sarlo offered no objections, saying he is concerned about the role that poverty industry plays in perpetuating poverty. Right, so the solution for someone like Sarlo would just get rid of them. Right? Let the free market decide. Who cares if 1 million people die? That's the point. These people are fucking Nazis. Oh. I just hope that, like, really bad things happen to these sorts of people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at the point now where I'm just like, yeah, I hope that God strikes you down. I hope that you're walking down the street and, like, some, like, window cleaner is like, cleaning a window and accidentally knocks his bucket down. And I hope that bucket just crushes your skull. And I genuinely hope that this happens to this Sarlo person. And when it happens, and if I hear about it, I will go, excellent. The world is better. Fantastic. If I didn't have kids, I would live in a van. Sounds kind of fun and dangerous at the same time. Grinning. I think I would get tired of it pretty quickly, honestly. Eric says, I actually recently learned the CIA had a major role in creating the genocide in Yugoslavia, which led to the NATO bombing. Yeah, they were involved in all the parties that were involved. Yeah, of course. That's CIA, like, 101. Get involved in everything. Right? Like, fund all sides. Then you can't lose. Yeah, I should feel so happy being on Social Security because of long COVID, yeah. I have to say I didn't realize how much I missed this channel. That's nice, Eric. That's nice of you to say. It's, yeah, I felt real bad about missing all the streams today, dude. Like, this week. I missed Monday and Tuesday. I feel bad about it. And today's stream is not gonna be very long as well. Yeah, make it a trans window cleaner just for giggles. You're right, Grinning. Just to add a little bit of spiciness onto it. Anemone, off topic. I love your shirt today. Thank you, Anemone. I gotta wear my nicer shirts on stream more often. I tend to wear just like my t-shirts on stream because they're comfortable. This is what I wear at work. Because when I'm at work, I want to look good, right? I want to look dignified, right? Rusty, good to see you. But I'm going to start wearing them, wearing my nicer shirts on stream for you guys. Because you deserve it. That's right. Each and every one of you. You deserve a classier version of John. Ugh. I'm not surprised that libertarian economists like Fraser Institute. I literally listened to a libertarian economist arguing against Sam Cedar about abolishing the U.S. minimum wage laws. So, but this is the reason why the Fraser Institute exists, right? Like, billionaires fund Nazi organizations like the Fraser Institute to argue in favor of the eradication of the poor, but they do it in such a way so that it sounds legitimate and it sounds like it has legitimacy, so that gullible moronic rubes and other fellow Nazis can talk about being Nazis and talk about eradicating poor people without outright saying we should eradicate poor people. That's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. And if you actually point this out and say that that's what's going on, what's their response? You just say everything you don't like is Nazis. No, I just say that the things that are obvious Nazism is Nazism. Like, you're arguing for the eradication of poor people. That's what you're arguing for, right? That we should remove all of these support systems, and then the free market will make everything better. Yeah, the free market will make everything better by fucking starving a bunch of people. Obviously. It's the reason we have these systems, right? And these systems suck. Lou, good to see you. Cheers to you. Yeah. No, I mean, like, this is the brain-dead, dumb bullshit that exists all throughout the society, right? And if you actually did that, it would absolutely destroy the civil society, even more so, right? For obvious reasons. Like, it's brain dead obvious why these things don't work, right? That you gotta fund like multi-billion-dollar industries in order to convince gullible rubes otherwise, because the truth is so fucking obvious and directly in front of your face that if you think about it for 2 seconds, you realize, like, yeah, a society in which people have more money is going to be a better society, right? That if everyone has access to food and shelter, everyone will be more stable. And your weird little Nazi ideas about who is or is not deserving of it is creepy. It's creepy that that's even part of the conversation. That a person needs to prove they deserve food and shelter. No, they don't. No, they don't. They absolutely do not. And any system that refuses to provide food and shelter is not one you need to pay any attention to outside of the threats. Like, that's it. Cons got what they want in my area. Nobody makes minimum wage. Yeah, it's a moot point. Fantastic. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Happy solstice to you, Lou. Happy solstice to you. Ay vey. We could all just be celebrating the solstice right now, right? Instead, we got to deal with this capitalist bullshit, right? Makes us all forget that we're part of a large ecosystem. Makes us forget that we're part of a larger system. That the universe and the world that we live in is so much larger than ourselves. Isaac, how you doing, bud? Yeah, now restaurants are charging 50 cents for bags. Yeah. No, it's just dumb shit. Like, we're just dumb. Like, we're just fucking dumb. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Canada is in a recession and overvalued. Real estate will be hard hit. Oxford Econ. Canada's overstimulated economy is experiencing withdrawal from the end of low rates. Oxford Economics warned investors the country is already in recession. It's expected to spend most of 2023 in recession and will be hit harder than its G7 peers. Good to see that the Oxford economists are catching up to the Canadian commie, eh? Isn't that nice? Right? What have I been saying this whole fucking time? That's what I've been saying. Thanks, Oxford. Thanks for catching up. Fucking idiots. Highly indebted households and overpriced real estate shouldn't expect much relief either. Elevated inflation will limit stimulus and prevent cuts to interest rates in 2023. Canada is already in a recession, to be worse than G7 peers due to debt and housing. Canada is expected to see a moderate recession. It's already kicked off. The forecast real gross domestic product will contract 1.3%. Blah, 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 blah. Look at this shit. Here we go. Here's the numbers. Don't you think capitalism is just the greatest fucking thing ever? Don't you think it's just so cool that we, like, give the means of production to a bunch of, like, rapacious psychopaths? I think that that's the smartest thing that we ever did. Is just let the biggest losers and the most rapacious psychopaths in the society have access to all the means of production. And you know what they did with it? They shipped it overseas. And then they complained. Like, that's my favorite. They took the means of production, shipped it to another nation, and that other nation went, thanks, and use it, and now are a more powerful economy than ours, and we're all like, that's bad! China's bad! Yeah, and expected to just trickle down. Yeah, right. That was always a grift. Like, that was always a grift. Like, they didn't believe that. Like, that's the thing that I think it's time for people to start realizing. Like, none of this happened on accident. Like, these people are grifters. People like Milton Friedman are fucking grifters. Like, they know they're lying. They smile with their big evil smiles and they say this line of bullshit that they know is total horseshit, and then hire thugs like Pinochet in order to kill 10,000 people in places so that they can enact their fucking policies. Like, they know they're doing it. They know they're doing it. Demand better. How you doing out there, bud? I hope you're doing well. I'm tired as fuck, dude. I'm tired as fuck. I need a good night's sleep. That's what I need. I need a good night's sleep. Ugh. I got 2 days off, and then I work one day. Yeah, don't forget Thomas Sowell. Yeah, just like king dumb shit of Turd Mountain. Like, it blows my face away that people, like, listen to these people and don't snicker in front of their faces. Like, that's the thing. This is what's got to start happening, right? And it's the young kids that need to start doing it. Stop listening to these people and being like, oh. Start laughing at them, because they're just assholes. They're grifters. They're obvious con men. Like, and it's gotten really obvious, right? Like, it's gotten really fucking obvious that these people are overt grifting con men. They're not interested in telling you the truth. They're not interested in any of that. They're interested in your money. That's all they want. They don't care about anything else. They don't care if you succeed or do well. They want your money. Like, and I don't know why we think there's any other thing that's going on. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, like, workers lost $3.7 trillion in earnings during the pandemic. Women and Gen Z saw the biggest losses. World's billionaires get richer by $3.9 trillion during the pandemic. Oh, damn, wonder what happened. Like, and now they're just jacked up prices, call it inflation, and we're all just like, oh, it's just natural. It's just the natural forces of the universe. It's completely like, who could prevent such a thing? How could such a thing be prevented? Oh my goodness, it's like the wind blowing. Fucking arrest these guys. Like, that's how you stop it. They're just jacking prices because they can. That's all it is. That's all it is. Stop pretending otherwise. Yeah. I've been wanting to tweet this for a few days now. If everyone needs therapy, then the problem everyone is dealing with are systemic, cultural, too big to be confronted alone between two people. It's actually a grave injustice to make individuals responsible for this. Yeah, no shit. Like, no shit. they're going to do it anyway, right? Because like the people who are in charge are happy raping little girls. Like they literally have an entire island dedicated to it. Like they don't give a fuck about you. Like it's crazy to me that we are still participating in this shit show. Yeah, butter's almost doubled. Yeah, because it can. Because where else are you gonna go, right? What is there some little grocer somewhere? No. Yeah, generational. I mean, good to see you, bud. $8 frozen President's Choice pizza is natural. Yeah. We need radical unions for everyone. Yeah, I mean, like, we need to surround the fucking halls of power. Like, we need to shut this whole thing down. Like, it's gross. It's gross what's happening. In good news, if you want to call it good news, Big Oil is behind conspiracy to deceive public. First climate racketeering lawsuit says. The same racketeering legislation used to bring down mob bosses, motorcycle gangs, football executives, and international fraudsters is to be tested against oil and coal companies who are accused of conspiring to deceive the public over the climate crisis. In an ambitious move, an attempt will be made to hold the fossil fuel industry accountable for decades of deception in a lawsuit being brought by communities in Puerto Rico that were devastated by Hurricane Maria in 2017. Puerto Rico is one of the most affected places by climate change in the world. It is so precariously positioned. They get hit on all fronts with hurricanes, storm surge, heat, coral bleaching, and it's the perfect place for this climate litigation, said Melissa Stims, senior counsel for the plaintiff's law firm Milberg. The 1970 Racketeer Influenced and Corruption Organizations RICO Act was originally intended to combat criminal enterprises. Yeah. Like the mafia. Yeah. Like, that's fine. Criminal enterprises like the mafia. So like the oil and gas industry. But has since been used in civil courts to litigate harms caused by opioids, vehicle emissions, and even e-cigarettes as organized crime cases. Because they are organized crime. Like, they are. They're fucking fascist losers. Now, the first ever climate change RICO case alleges that international oil and coal companies, their trade associations, and a network of paid think tanks, scientists, and other operatives conspired to deceive the public, specifically residents of Puerto Rico, about the direct link between their greenhouse gas-emitting products and climate change. The fossil fuel enterprise, which remains operational according to the lawsuit, resulted in multitudes of damages caused by climate disasters that were foreseen but hidden by the defendants in order to maximize profits. Sound familiar? Like, I hope this lawsuit goes through. I hope these guys get completely ramrodded. Like, I hope they get completely fucking ramrodded, right? Like, I hope that these fucking guys get hung. Like, for real. I hope I'm alive to watch these guys get fucking hung. I'm completely down for this. Like, these people are Nazi-level criminals. Maybe even worse than the Nazis. And we're just letting them do it. Dorpy-dorpy-door. Normal. Ugh. And my personal favorite, Jordan Peterson. Oh, I saw a video where JP got roasted by a professor and was exposed for his fraud. I played it on Discord. It's only a few minutes long. I don't have my sound set up properly for it. I don't want to, dude. Yeah, do natural gas next. Yeah, absolutely. Loop back around on this tomorrow, okay, Eric? I'll get my sound set up properly. I'm all fucked up right now, dude. The same hurricane that hit Puerto Rico hit Cuba, but Cuba was up and running 3 weeks later. Puerto Rico still has not recovered. Yeah, Cuba's an efficient economy based on Marxist communist principles. Fucking Cuba. What a bunch of champions. Yeah. WRPS officer charged with possession, making child pornography available. Normal. Fucking normal society. No internet. Caitlin Johnson. I wanna see if I can get this back. Yeah, you're not actually helping when you support protesters in empire-targeted nations. I saw this headline and I was like, yeah, that's right. Like, you're all like, free Iran! As if the United States empire isn't like, yeah, let's overthrow Iran. We can do a color revolution there. Let's go. Let's go, Brandon. Elon Musk doesn't make cars. Jeff Bezos doesn't deliver Amazon packages. Howard Schultz doesn't make Starbucks drinks. The rich don't create value. workers do. Fuck yeah. Okay, guys, I'm fucking tired. I'll be back up and running tomorrow. I'm going to do the TikTok stream at the same time. That'll be a real test. My stream didn't go down today, so there's a positive, right? There's a positive. Hopefully that trend continues. I hope you guys are all doing really well out there. Always remember, each and every one of you is a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are trying to spend hundreds of billions of dollars to try to get you to not even realize it. Watson, good to see you, bud. Rebel, revolt, repent. Good luck. We're going to need it.